So welcome everyone to this Red Talk for West Lothian Recovery Service, and today we've got with us Charlie Steele, and I've known Charlie for quite some time now. Just let me tell you a wee bit more about the Red Talks. So the Red Talks we're looking at inspiring recovery journeys, and that means not just for the person who's been through the journey, the person that we're going to interview, Charlie, today, but also hopefully inspire other people around recovery who might be facing challenges, who might be, just new to recovery or thinking about recovery, or it might be family members, whatever. So that's the kind of idea. We were going to do it live in person and, in our West Lothian Recovery Hub for our community and stuff. But obviously that's changed with the situation with COVID-19, that kind of stuff. So we thought we would do it this way. And so we're going to get started. Now, I've known Charlie for a good few years now in recovery. And yeah, we've had some good hearts to hearts in the past, Charlie, haven't we? Yeah, we've supported each other. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what I know about Charlie in his recovery is that he's been a ministerial advisor for a good number of years to the Scottish Government on alcohol. He's a current member of the Scottish Recovery Consortium, and his brief is for mutual aid. But I've known him to be involved with Smart UK. He set up or co-founded Discover Recovery in Scotland, and I'm absolutely sure many more things.
And the Serenity Cafe.
The Serenity, yeah. You and I were at there was three of us at that first meeting, wasn't there? With Ruth to set up the Serenity Cafe, and look where that went as well in terms of the amount of people that was. So, so that's a kind of introduction. I know, I know it's we could probably go on for a lot longer, but. I want to get to you, Charlie. So I want to ask you the first question, which is, just briefly, what was your kind of addiction and how was it at the end? Because we want to focus on the recovery, obviously, but maybe just tell people that didn't know you kind of how your addiction ended up.
Yeah, it was alcohol at first, and I went through the progression that I hear with so many people. Started off with alcohol. There was alcohol issues around family, and I started tippling. I reckon I was, 8, 9 at parties, and my cousin and I sitting. I went on to drugs, and again it was a typical story. I was a teenager in the 60s, and some of us decided we want to be like the hippies in California. I didn't know where California was. I was growing my hair long. My father hated that. He wanted me to have a short back and sides. And that progressed on really quite quickly. I used a lot of LSD. I'd never heard of it. Someone said to me when I was scoring in a pub in the city centre in Glasgow, someone told us this is where we could get the magic stuff. And he said, do you want some acid? I didn't know what it was. I said, yeah, I'll try some of that. There was a few of us at a party in Rochazy in East End of Glasgow, where I'm from. And then speed came in. And that was crazy. That really sort of caused me all sorts of problems. There was barbiturates around at that time as well, which basically I took anything that was there. I understand what motivated that now. It took a long time to understand it, which had a lot to do with how I thought, certainly how I felt, very, very broken inside, very scared inside. But that whole progression thing, that's what fascinates me, was it took away the sense of who I was, because I did not like who I was. I felt as if I was different. I wish I had £1 for every time I've heard people say that. I thought it was an alien. I thought I got dropped off a passing spaceship or something like that. So the chemicals really became my escape route. By the time I started to get into trouble with it, the East End of Glasgow was a rough place at that time. Some beautiful people in it, and many of them actually looked after me. But I started to get into trouble with the law. Spent time in a children's remand home. I don't know if they've got them anymore, but wow, that was crazy. And eventually that ended up going through into detention. Then it was Borstal. I spoke at a prison a couple of years ago, and there was about 30 odd inmates there. And I says, well, you know, I've had this experience. I was a Borstal boy, and they all burst out laughing. They thought it was hilarious. I think they thought they were all dead, you know, but here was one that was still alive. And I could see where my life was going. It was crazy. Being liberated from prison, the first thing I would do was go and buy myself alcohol, and then seek out whatever else was available. So it was a chaotic time. It probably lasted, I think, where I can clearly see the tumble down the hill probably lasted for about 6 or 7 years. By the time it came to the end, that chaos, I had already lost my first marriage, my child. Family really, you know, they couldn't do anything with me. Everyone is in a place of confusion, bewilderment. I certainly am, but I'm still thinking that it's I'm rebel without a cause. You know, the world, I'll get them to see that really I'm a nice guy, just a bit misunderstood.
So, what was your process, or what made you want to get in recovery? How did you approach it?
John, you know, I was thinking about this quite recently, and it was 48 years ago I came to recovery. And it was only very recently it dawned on me, I actually came through a service. I never seen it as that way at that time. My wife had left me. I'm on my own. I'm living in what they called a room and kitchen in the Glasgow tenements in those days. The place is a shamble. I'm not eating. I'm paranoid, absolutely paranoid. I'm in a mess. And my wife came home to pick up some of the kids' clothes, and because I've got a term for it now. I'm ripping with codependency. I need her. I need anybody that, you know, just got to. Problem is, I'm emotionally unavailable. So, you know, when I've got it, I can't handle it. It's chaotic. And she said to me, she'd seen something on a Glasgow bus that there was. The way she said it to me was, there's a place that helps alcoholics, she says, and you're an alcoholic, and all the funny other stuff you take, you're crazy. And I went up to George Square, and it turned out it was a porta cabin that they had. And I went in and spoke to a young lady, and it turned out it was the week, or maybe 2 weeks after, the Glasgow Council on Alcoholism, as it was called in those days, had started, and it was in Gordon Street across from the entrance to the central station. And there's an old Chris Christopherson song about putting on my cleanest dirty shirts, and that's exactly what it was, you know. And I went away up, and I've got the long hair at this time, I haven't shaved. Oh dear, when I think about it. I've got the price of a bottle of wine in my pocket, that's for sure. And maybe some other implements that I shouldn't have had. And I met a lovely man, Archie. Archie's been gone a long time, but became a good friend. And he spoke to me and said, you know, tell me your story. And I told him my story, and I think he was sharp enough to realise that maybe counselling wasn't what I needed at that point. He says, I reckon you need some help from people who are the same as yourself, and he sent me to a fellowship situation, and I met a lovely lady, and that was the first time I really cried in a long time. She says, have you got a problem with your drink, son? I just burst into tears. You know, the tough guy from the East End of Glasgow's sobbing. And she says, I hope you get this, and I hope you stick about, because I've got 3 boys and they've got the problem. And I hope if they come along, you'll still be here. It meant with kindness, John, you know. So I actually came through a service, and that's just dawned on me recently. There wasn't other services the way there is today, thank goodness, you know. Ultimately, that's what brought me. That's how I got through the doors.
So, had you tried before that? No,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I sent letters to my mother for Berlin, for Longregend, for Pullman, swearing on a stack of Bibles that we were probably smoking, using for roll-ups. I meant it. I, 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 I didn't like the way I was living. Certainly didn't like the way I was feeling. I didn't like the fact that I had no control. You know, if I was going out, you know, there was no guarantee that I was going to come home that night. Where I would end up, I was just a mess. I wanted to be normal as I saw it, but I didn't know what normal was. But I knew the way I was living was not it. That's for sure. And I wrote letters to my mother. I promise you, I'll never do it again. And I meant it. I meant it with my heart. And before I got down the bottom of the road for whatever institution I was coming out, I was hitting the off sales. They were just coming into fashion at that point. And it was away again. Yeah, I tried, but.
Yeah. So what do you feel was the most important elements of your recovery? What kind of got you, and what inspired you, or what kept you going?
Kindness, initially kindness. I mean, initially it was kindness to other people, because I was used to getting rejected. I was used to getting told, beat it and don't come back, we don't want to see you again. And I met this bunch of lovely people. It was an old sort of derelict church that was waiting to be pulled down, a place called Cunningham Street. And they welcomed me. I was younger than most of them. And they shook my hand. There was no hugging or anything like that in those days. Shook my hand, and at the end of the format of the meeting, were saying, "Keep coming back, Charlie. Keep coming back. Just, doesn't matter, hang on." And that was the total antithesis to what I was experiencing, which was, "Beat it, we don't want to see you again." Now, of course, I've got a very suspicious mind at that point. I'm thinking, what do they want? How deluded that was. I didn't have anything that they could get. But the head's still saying, what is this? What you want to do? I didn't move in circles where people were very trustworthy, that's for sure. So the first thing that got me was kindness. And the second thing, I was looking at the question you sent me through. The second thing that got me was the level of honesty. I had never heard people talking so honestly. My home, and if any of my family see this, there's no disrespect to them by any manner of means, but my interpretation of my home was that I couldn't talk about how I felt. It was all about my behaviours, and being told, you shouldn't be like this, you can't be like this, you've got to da. Here were people talking about feeling shame and remorse. Wow. Some of these words, they were new to me. Yeah. But when I got the gist of what they were saying, I felt it emotionally. I felt remorse. I felt shame. I felt guilt. I felt I wanted to be a better person than I was, and there was that dichotomy within me. And so, in a sense, the honesty, the ability that they had to say these things, because in my head, there's stuff I'm taking to the grave with me. No one's ever going to know anything about this stuff. I think the third thing that got me back was the humour, and that was a strange one. There was a dark humour where people are laughing about stuff that I'm cringing at. And I'm beginning to realise that somehow or other they've got to a place where they're no lugging the dead horse behind them, They've got some kind of freedom. So I think that was the kind of cocktail, that's maybe an inappropriate word, but that's what kind of got me at first. That's what got me.
Can you remember any of the kind of witticisms or whatever that you maybe heard from people in recovery that kind of stick in your mind? Some of these.
Yeah.
I know we've shared this before, but I think that's exactly what I keep coming back to, was that kind of sense of humour. And there was a character in the Edinburgh AA scene called Glasgow Bobby, who'd been through every prison, and you've heard him, and you've heard me and others talk about him, and he would hear people kind of, how alcoholics and addicts have got real kind of a real penchant for the dramatic and the poor me's, like, you know, and Bobby would just pipe up and say like, things like, come down off the cross, we need the wood for the fire, you know, and things like that, you know, or an alcoholic's the only person that can look down on the rest of the world for the gutter, you know, and these things would make me laugh, like, you know. Have you got any that you can share that come to mind?
I think that what got me, there was loads of stories, you know, about the guy who was standing in the Gallowgate, and he's down for a drink, and a guy comes along. They delivered, what's he called them? You got them by mail, telegrams. And the guy's on his telegram bike.
You may explain for our younger listeners what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, there was none of these things where you can type messages and sell in a split second. You had to get someone to talk to, and they would type it up, and they would send it through the wireless, and someone would print it off, and they would give it to some poor soul who then has to go on a wee pop bike.
It was like a moped. What do you call it? A moped, that's right.
Moped,
Red mopeds for the GPO.
That was it. And I'm listening to this story, and he says, I'm dying for a drink. He says, and this guy comes along, and he's got his wee hat on and his uniform and his wee bag, and he pulls up, and he gets up close. He says nothing. I'm stealing his bike. I'll sell that for a drink. So he got it, and he went to a place called the Brigget in Glasgow, which was a kind of flea market. You could buy anything there for a button to an elephant. And he sells the bike, and he's coming back up, and the guy spots him, and he says, "Hey, you stole my bike!" And the two of them are running up the Gallowgate, and the guy says, "I know who you are." He says, "I'm your cousin Johnny," and they recognise. You know, it was simple things. It was the paradoxes that got me. And I'm just in the door and saying, "Charlie, you've got to give us a way to keep it." You've got to get on your knees to get on your feet. I could not get my head. See the wisdom that's actually in this stuff. Pocketed, wee packets of wisdom, which is astounding. But yeah, oh goodness. It bamboozled me, but I think my head was probably in that place at that point where it's like, they're aliens too.
I'm not alone with this kind of thinking.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant. So, Charlie, this is one obviously you didn't have to answer, but you know, did you or have you ever relapsed? And if you did, what was that like?
Horrendous, absolutely horrendous. I worked in a treatment centre, and I hope people, if it's applicable to them, hear this. In North Ayrshire. By that time I'd got an education, John, because I could barely read and write when I came to recovery. I struggled. My sister laughs about it. He used to send letters for Berlin saying they need soap, spelled S-O-P. You know, it's stuff like that. Spider writing. I got a job. It was with Strathclyde Regional Council Social Work Department, and did some training, and was working as an addiction officer, as they called them, and that's how long.
Oh, that's posh. I want that one.
I was an officer once. And
were you the gentleman as well?
The gentleman, no, definitely not. And this is where I think it's important and about the dichotomy and the differences there are in approaches to recovery, John, and we've spoken about this hundreds of times. I was in amongst people who did not understand how I understood what was wrong with me, the malady that I had, and how I was treating it. And it was all very much about, you know, if you've got the willpower, if you've got the intention, if you've got the mindset, if you do this and you do that, you'll be able to control it. You know, I'm a great supporter, as you know. I think one of the first in-depth conversations we had when I moved up to the east was about harm reduction.
Yes.
And I said to you, I'm absolutely for it. And there was a lot of people in our circles that would have been going, wait a minute. So it was very much that approach. And I'm being told more or less on a daily basis, not by my clients, by my colleagues. Well, you've been off a drink a long time now. I think it was about, can't remember. You've been off a drink a long time now. Surely you can have a couple of pints and control it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, no, at first I'm arguing, saying, no, because it's about more than this. It's about how the chemical affects me. It's not just about, I've been able to talk about some of the trauma I've had, of the difficulties. I've been honest with myself. Yeah. And we went to, of all things, a Christmas party for the troops, and we're all sitting, and my colleagues all got the nice dresses and shirts and ties on and all the rest of it. And I've got this insane thought that in order to be part of them, maybe I could just have a couple of drinks and I would be okay. And somewhere after watching them getting a bit kind of happy with the drink, the thought came into my head was, what's the point anyway? You're okay now. You've been off it long enough. So I said to one of my colleagues, how many units is it? Then I'll still be safe to drive. Now there's the first risk taking, I want to find out how much I've got to drive home. And they said, da. And I ordered a pint of Guinness. So right back to the Guinness. I hadn't tasted it yet. Right back to the Guinness. And the whole table hushed. It just went quiet. And I got it. And then I had another half pint, I think it was. Drove home. Within 3 months, I was making my own wine. I had demijohns up in the loft. I'm sneaking down to restaurants in the middle of the night to get their empty bottles out of their bins. I'm in a place where my obsession is eating at me again. My wife and children are horrified, absolutely horrified. What's happening to him? What's he doing? What's going on? Now, I'm a minister of a church at that point. I went and studied theology and got ordained, so
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So again, I couldn't read. Why I picked theology, I don't know. It makes a wee bit of sense these days. But anyway, within that period of time, I've degenerated into, I want to stop working. It's getting in the road. My attitude towards my family has changed. And it ended up in a police situation, and ended up with my name in a photograph of me in the paper, trying to get an officer a glass of whiskey and tell them it was the ones at the other side of the house that were trying to kick the door in that were the problem. I'm insane. So yeah, I had a number of two. The other one was to do with medication, which was a scary one. I've got quite a few health issues, and I was getting loads of medication, and it wasn't a conscious thing that I was taking. I was forgetting, and I'm double dosing, and somewhere in amongst that, the thought comes back in, and I end up with alcohol and found in the street, and another hugely embarrassing situation. And again, the law involved in it. I'm scared to walk past a case, a pub case, just a sniffy it gets me. But it's what happens to me. That's not the guy you're talking to just now. But it's the thinking. For me, it's the thinking. It's what's going on in my head. So that's the part I've got to look after, John.
Thanks for that. Thanks for your honesty around that. And that chimes with my experience as well, in terms of people being honest about it and sharing that stuff, so that others can learn from it, perhaps, or at least be warned. So did you find any other behaviours? You know the old thing that we talk about is the kind of whack-a-mole. So you put one addiction down, so you put the drink and maybe drugs down, and something else pops up. And I remember talking to Tommy Rosen about this as well, like where it comes up as gambling, or it comes up as porn, or loads of different things that can come up. Did you experience any of that? Oh,
absolutely, John. Absolutely. Clothes was one of the first ones. Now, I see a lot of people, as trainers today, it was sand shoes in my days, the same thing, but cheaper. But yeah, I wanted to look well and present myself well. And it was the beginning, really, in early recovery, where charity shops were beginning to pop up. Nothing like they are today. And there was a guy I had been meeting at meetings and talking to, and I went to a place in Dumbarton Road. It was really weird, and he lived in, I don't know where, the West End somewhere. Anyway, I'm looking around about, and I spotted something. I said, "What are you doing in here? Is it working in here?" Oh, da, da, da. And I came across a three-piece Harris tweed suit, kind of rusty brown. And I thought, looks good. And I don't know what the price was, but I thought, I'm having that. And I goes up and I put it on the table. I says, "How much is that?" He said, "That's for you, Charlie." He says, £3. You probably pay about 300 quid for this thing. £3 for you, Charlie. And I get a shirt and a big yellow tie, and I remember it. And going along to a meeting, and I went in, and it was a big meeting in Rose Street in Glasgow. It was huge. And one of my pals comes right across the room, shakes my hand, looks into my eyes. I'm standing there sparkling, and says, "Who are you hiding for?" And I so get that today, just this persona. Fishing, I get into fishing. I don't know where that came from. I hated it. My dad was an angler and I hated it. And I'd be down in the river, 3, 4 in the morning, up to there in icy water, trying to catch sea trout. No thought about my family going back. The guitar, I got see the things I've got that lasted 20 minutes that I really needed.
Yeah.
But I gained understanding in recovery, time, listening to other people, identifying, beginning to put the jigsaw together. I realised that I'd never been to me. I'd never went, who are you, Charlie? So I'm creating these different characters, who I am, Oh, I had to go to the weights as well. I love it. The guys are all going to the gym. They must be going crackers at the moment with the gyms. Oh, I'm only a wee guy, I want to get stuck in the door. Thank goodness there wasn't steroids around in that day. I would have been taking that as well. So, whack-a-mole is a great way to put it. Yeah, had to go to the porn, of course I did. Especially when another wife left me or whatever, or a girlfriend, sex. I love how it talks about some of the literature I read, if somebody's need an overhaul in that one. I certainly did, because it's like everything else. I looked for anything that gave me a good feeling. I took away that feeling of emptiness or not enoughness.
Yes.
But thankfully that has died down. In time, that kind of starts to ebb away from me, because I start to realise that I'm getting a crack at life. The thing that the young man in Berlin, he wanted a different way of living. I'm getting it. But my inside isn't quite catching up with the externals he was going on around about me. But somewhere along that sort of blended a bit more. Yeah. But, crazy ideas. This is what I need. This is what I need.
And this will fix me.
This'll be it. Yeah, absolutely.
So just in that, I think you certainly touched on it, Charlie, but it was about this. So what have you learned from that? What have you learned about that?
I think the main thing I've learned from that, John, and it really is the key point in that, is that for me, stopping taking alcohol and stopping taking drugs does not mean that I'm going to turn out in 6 weeks, 6 months to be a balanced human being who's at peace with self, at peace with society, at peace with other people, at peace with my past, not terrified in my future. So in a sense, what I've learned is that if I'm able to be in a place where I can be at peace with myself, and I can accept that where I am is where I am, even though the emotions are running in the head saying, you should be better by now, you should be getting this, you should be getting that. Again, I'm listening to that wacky idea in my head that kept driving me. So for me, it's about acceptance. I'm who I am, I'm where I am, I'm what I am, and I will be what I will be. And the only way that's going to become a reality is to make the most of what I've got as who I am today. That'd be such a simple principle for me. Again, the saying, driven by 100 forms of fear, self-seeking, self-delusion. Oh my goodness. That drivenness. So in a sense, it's been getting this sorted out that's allowed me to find peace. It really is.
Charlie, I'm going to go off piste here a wee bit for the questions that I'd sent you, if you're okay with that.
No, fine, yeah.
So,
spontaneity.
one of the things that we hear a lot about, and certainly I've experienced, but in interviews in the past for recovery coaching and stuff like that, it's about this notion of self-talk and this, the negative self-talk and stuff like that. And when I interviewed you before for, the stuff that we did at Serenity Cafe and stuff, you came out with a story about how you managed that process and how you, would you like to tell us a wee bit about that? Can you remember what you...
Yeah, absolutely, John. Now, obviously, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but, I've watched the television movies, I've heard people, talking about having voices in their heads. I've not been diagnosed with that yet, but I became aware in recovery that there was a kind of inner battle going on inside me. There was a part of me saying, Charlie, you need to change it, and a bit saying, I said that for a career. What's the point? Just that inner wrestle, that inner turmoil. And I realised the party, it became very clear. It was like, I've heard people talk about the monkey on the shoulder. I kind of see it as maybe two monkeys. There's one whispering in the ear, this is great, you're sober, you're clean. You don't owe anybody anything. There's nobody looking for you for retribution. This is really good. There's another bit that says, this is boring. This is terrible, man. So there's this kind of thing. Early recovery, it just was ceaseless. It was just continually going. And then I realised that what I never had was a conversation going on in my head. There wasn't that neutral bit in my head, questioning and asking the question, oh, wait a minute, what's this about? And it was a pal of mine, you know well, Phil, and we were having this conversation. We decided to call it the twin mystics, because there's a kind of mysticism about it in a funny way. We decided it would be great to name it. So I thought, right, okay, that negative, destructive one, right, okay. The positive one, right, okay. I'm beginning to get personalities about them. So I decided to call the positive one Bonnie Prince Charlie. He's looking after my interest. And he's the guy that says, come on, get up and go to your work. You want to be responsible. Dave, put your hand out to the person that's still hurting, Charlie. You know what I mean? Thinking of yourself all the time. Nice guy, Bonnie Prince Charlie. The other one I called Numpty Dumpty. Because this is the banter that says, what are you interested in them for? They just want to take half of you. They don't like you anyway, by the way. What are you hanging about here for? You're feeling guilty because you told some lies and they can see right through you. And the Bonnie Prince is saying, but they're all liars in here, we're all trying to get better. And it's when I started to realise that there's this wrestle going on in my head, that I realised the only way that I can deal with that is I've got to have an arbiter somewhere in the middle that questions it. And that's helped so much by other people. And that's why I love being, at meetings with my fellows, with whatever it is that I'm doing. I loved it in Smart Recovery as well. I love the tools in Smart Recovery, being able to get a hierarchy of values. In a sense, that's what I needed to get, was something to counterbalance what was going on in my head. But I still use that as saying, numpty, beat it, Bonnie Prince Charlie, because sometimes you can go on the top as well. You're really wonderful now. Look at how far you've come. Like, whoa, wait a minute, has there been a swap? But it's a bit good. I just think it's about good mental health.
Yes, yeah.
Just about good mental health.
I remember you saying as well one time before, you get up in the morning and you have a wee check-in, right? Who's in charge today? Is it Bonnie or is it Numpty Dumpty?
Absolutely. And most of the time it's Numpty Dumpty in the morning. I've got to grab this thing in the morning. I can get, especially the older I get, got the bones are sore.
Yes.
Rather than I'll need to get a bit of exercise, I'll need to get a new mattress. It's not. Honestly, it's crackers.
That brings us on really neatly to this: how about sustaining recovery. So we've heard a wee bit about how you got in. We've heard a bit about some of the challenges.
Yeah.
How do you sustain recovery now? What are the key elements?
It's contact, regular contact. I'm aware that when I'm on my own and I'm only listening to these two characters, especially Numpty Dumpty, how easily I can start to delude myself. I can start to have expectations that I can't live up to, or I can put myself in a position where that drivenness comes back. So I've got to really grasp that. I've got to grasp it first thing in the morning, I really do, and work with it as I go through the day. But I need connectedness with other people who have similar ways of thinking to me, have emotional issues that they're dealing with honestly, or that I can maybe feed into if they want to talk to me about it. So it's about keeping it fresh. Now, that doesn't mean to say that I'm living in the pain of all that stuff anymore. I mean, I share with people every day. I'm talking to people, you know, whether it's a means of calls, whatever. What was hard about that at first was I still had the emotional connection to it. So when I'm talking about it, I'm feeling it myself, or someone else is talking about something I'm not expecting, it's like a stab in the stomach. But as time has went on, I've realised that has healed. There's a lot of healing that's going on there. I'm not plagued by the memories and the thoughts anymore, but I've got to keep connected. If I lose that connectedness, so in whatever shape or form, I have to be connected with people who are in recovery. Because I've already got that experience for the past of sitting with people who didn't have what I had, where they're sitting there getting drunk and saying I would be all right if I had just a couple. It doesn't work that way. No for me.
So this is what they often call now either lived experience or living experience of.
Yes.
Can I just ask you on that then, Charlie? Because our idea for Red Talks is that we'll talk to people with lots of different backgrounds and notions of recovery and stuff, and it's going to be really interesting. I'm hoping talking about that, because what you and I have discovered so many, or talked about so many times, there's no one route to recovery. There's no one route to so just on that, what is your understanding? Do you see yourself as in recovery or recovered or something else? Is it, you know?
I've thought about this so many times, John, because Numpty Dumpty's great. You know, when you hear somebody saying, I am recovered. And I think, that's a bit arrogant, isn't it? You know, and it's just, I am recovering. Numpty Dumpty says, oh, that's a bit limiting, isn't it? So I can have debates about the same crazy thing going on in my head. The place that I've got to, and I'll tell you why, is I just call myself recovering. Now, that doesn't mean to say for me that I have a deficiency. Again, it's back to what I was taught, was to keep it within the day. And that for me, I don't think anyone has come up with a cure yet, you know, that will allow me to go back to the pub and have a few pints, or take a few tokes, or drop some acid. So I've had this debate with, oh, goodness knows how many professionals, that I'm wearing a label which is negative. For me, this is not a label. It's an explanation of something that I can't account for in any other way. So I'm quite happy to say I'm a recovering alcoholic addict. Because for me, it's an ongoing process. Oh, I know part of mine used to say, that's one of these witticisms, you know, always getting well, never completely well. I just love these wee sayings. But yeah, I'm clear of progress, definitely.
That's fantastic, mate. So I know in Scotland, in particular, we're not known for what's it, ringing our own bell or blowing our own trumpet or whatever fucking thing we can think of. But a big part of that is that kind of tall poppy syndrome, isn't it? It's like, you know, who does he think he is? You know, I can still hear my man that say loads of people. He forgets where he's come from and all the rest of it. But I think it's really important to chart and feel what kind of successes have we had in recovery. So what things are you maybe not most proud about, but certainly what do you think is what would be some markers in your recovery journey that you can look back and say, I was really glad I did that, I'm proud I did that, or, you know, that was a good period. what's given you kind of joy in your recovery?
Getting an education, John,
All right.
was a huge one for me, because I felt that sense of inadequacy. You know, I would walk into a room and, like so many people of our ilk, I would suss the whole room in a split second and judge them. The ones I thought I could talk to and liked, and the one I wasn't getting near. That sense of low self-esteem crippled me. Hence the overcompensation of the three-piece tweets. I think of that. My mentor, sponsor, said to me, "It's great, see you at meetings all the time." He says, "You're like Casper the Ghost. Every time I turn up at a meeting, you're here." He says, "What do you want to do with the rest of your life?" And I've never forgotten these words. He's still alive. He's in his 80s now, and he's still active. And he said, "What would you like to do with the rest of your life, Charlie? Would you like to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that?" And I don't know why he chose those ones, but it was so ridiculous for me, the idea of that. And I says, "Oh, don't be daft. I can't do that. I can hardly read and write." He says, "That's a great place to start."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Now, I knew if I didn't do something, he'd be hounding me, because he was like that. You know, he was very subtle. "What are you doing?" I even avoided going to meetings because I knew he'd be. I went home and I spoke to my wife, Isabel, at that time, and there was a note she had seen in the paper, and it was people who could come to the house and talk to you if you're needing help with literacy, And there was this guy came along, and it was amazing. I ended up managing the Scottish Service Alcohol Office, the Alcoholics Anonymous, for 6 years. And on the day I was starting that meeting, I met this wee guy on a train. He couldn't remember me, but by goodness, I remembered him. I got up to Glasgow, got keys in the pocket, and there he is. Brian, his name was. He come along, and of course, my low self-esteem and arrogance says, "Hey, I hope this isn't about the cat sat on the mat. I'm not that bad." But it was great. He came for, he must have came for about 3 months. And he really encouraged me, and I became more fluent and no panicking. And then there was a thing, you'll remember them, John. TOPS came out. It was part of the Get Back to Work thing, you know,
Yeah.
Training Opportunities Services or something. And again, people just kept, and still do keep coming into my life and throw a wee nugget there, and I pick it up and go, it's fascinating how this works. And I went on a course. Again, you couldn't write this stuff. Went on a course for 3 months, which was numeracy and literacy. It was basic communications.
Mm-hmm.
John, I still can't count. I'm delighted they made calculators on phones now. This is remarkable stuff. What technology that is. Still can't count. But I loved words. There was another guy come on. There's only 12. It's a pilot. And there was another guy come in who was one of the sons the lady who met me in the AA office that I ended up managing 25 years later. And that Joey's name was, and I go, "Joey," he said, "Charlie, what are you?" I mean, imagine this, can we date each other? The two of us in the class in the college. And we spent 3 months, and, you know, no disrespect to the other guys, but they said, you know, maybe you'd be good at plumbing or electrician. But the 2 years independently, the assessment was, "We think you two should go in for further education." We went to Clydebank Technical College for a year. We did science lab technology. I got an O-level in English. I got one, and this is crazy. I was talking to somebody about it recently. I got an O-level in physics, because that's not so much about counting. It's about angles and strategies and stuff like that. And my head kind of works that way. We done that, and then I went on. I was going through, and no disrespect to him, but I was going through what I call my holy phase. I was needing to get some kind of power in my life, and being insecure, I went and looked everywhere for it. I thought it was lost or something, and I had to find it. But I got interested, and I went and studied theology. I was at theological college, and I spent a wonderful 3 years there. And it opened my mind to so many other things. So education for me has been absolutely crucial, and that's never stopped. I'm not doing courses anymore, but my mindset is in that learning. briefly, another thing that is an absolute highlight in my life, although I didn't think it at the time, was when I moved from North Ayrshire up to the east. I had a lot of these feelings back where they'll not like me and da 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 da. But I found people like yourself, and it was like just a big fresh start again. But it was so different for the guy that came in through the doors at first. You know, I had started to create a different history for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's full of highlights. Full of highlights.
Okay. So what makes you happy today, Charlie? What makes Charlie smile and feel, maybe who inspires you, or what's inspired you in your recovery?
At a very sort of base level, I got into photography, and I brought myself up, and they're sitting there, a pair of binoculars, and I got into nature, and I was chasing about country lanes, trying to spot all the wee birdies. Didn't know what they were. Didn't know what one was singing, whatever. Didn't know how to use the camera, but it was fascinating. And over the last few years, that's became really important to me, that I have that part in my life where I'm spending time with me. And that's easy to do nowadays because I haven't got these two band pots going. To spend time in nature. I love the quiet. I love solitude. And this is for a guy that could not be on my own. I love solitude. It's no loneliness anymore, it's solitude. The other thing that makes me really happy is watching other people getting well. Now, that's no a platitude, honestly. It's not airy fairy for me. It blows me away when I see people who were coming in who are just as damaged, whether it's through smart recovery. I insisted to the rest of the board. There was only other two other board members at the time. If I was going to come on board as a member of Smart Recovery, that we did the training, and we did that via the States. Shari come on, and we done all that. Again, this learning thing, because I felt if I was going to, whatever I was going to get involved in, it had to be a gateway to other people getting a chance at what I got to recover for something that I didn't understand but was killing me. So I love it when I see people in that broken state, and then I start to see them becoming aware, and then I see them going through the phases, the whack-a-mole, and the relationships are the cracker, aren't they? You know, I'm in a new relationship, and I just smile. I thought, God, I've been there. But eventually getting to a point you realising that, for me, John, it's my truth, that the chemicals were not my primary problem. They were my primary solution to my inner problem, the conflict I had within me. So it's when I see them beginning to grow and they're able to start to be honest about themselves, they're able to start talking about, I've got emotions, even if it's anger. I'm raging, I'm going, yeah, brilliant. What are you doing, brilliant? You're feeling. Charlie, I think I'm feeling happy. That's brilliant. So there's a bit that gets read out quite often. You will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in your fellows. That's become a truth for me. Yeah. And it's why I love being involved in the field. I'm doing a piece of work at the moment sort of around about Edinburgh Prison with Criminal Justice Scotland, which I'm loving. See, being able to go back behind those doors and to see that something is being just going to be there for people like me that sat in these places and despair and didn't know. So that's what really lights me up. So between the wee birdies and addicts and alcoholics, I really am happy. I'm happy, John.
That's brilliant. Just when you were talking about the emotions there, and you know that old saying in recovery, the great thing about recovery is that you get your emotions back. The worst thing about recovery is that you get your emotions back. And I remember, you remember Cliff? So Cliff was my first sponsor, and a lovely guy, like, you know, if he's just down the road here. And I phoned him up one day, you know, in early recovery, and I'm going, I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. He says, well, describe it. And I told him it was this kind of really weird feeling. He says, so are you feeling kind of anxious of that? I went, well, no, I'm not sure. So he went through a series of questions, right? And I went, no, that. He said, well, maybe you're all right, John. And
I
for the
get
first
that.
time in my life in sobriety,
Yeah.
I wasn't worrying about something. I wasn't kind of depressed. I wasn't, because I had that ability to identify rage or depression, and anything in between was a guess. And again, it was somebody at a meeting one day, and we went like that. Oh, I think that was an emotion of. I think I've just had an emotion.
Yeah. Oh, I so get that.
Yeah.
So that makes total sense to me. And it was the bit in the middle that actually, and again, it's just my understanding and my experience, but that was actually a difficult time for me because I was so used to the rage, the high. I mean, using acid and speed, my pal Mikey, Mikey, we talk about it, and I kind of laugh and I say, you're like Rip Van Winkle. You took the opiates and just went to sleep for 20 years and woke up in recovery. I come in with a fried heat. Different, same stuff, but But see, when I started to get that bit of peace, it felt like I was bored.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I need to do something. I was so used to that mindset and that hyper thing. But I thrive on it now. It's wonderful to be a bit of bloody peace in my life.
Charlie, it has been an absolute delight, mate, as ever. And it's funny how we hadn't talked for quite a wee while, and then when I phone, it's like the time just slips away between the gaps, and that's what I find about a lot of people, a lot of friends and stuff, especially ones that I've made in recovery. It's like the time just dissolves, and we can pick up. So it's been a delight talking to you, man.
Okay, John, loved it.
So have you got anything to say to the recovery community in West Lothian that might be watching us? Quite a few of them know you, Charlie.
Aye. Yeah, what I would love to say, and I know it must bore the pants off of some people because it sounds like an old guy getting back to talk about the good old days. No. I get that. But honestly, guys, what's happening today is incredible. And for me, it's wonderful that John and I can have this conversation online and speak honestly, openly, and freely. Because when I did come to recovery, literally we were hiding in wee old churches up back streets. And it wasn't a bit anonymous, it was a bit invisible. And there wasn't a lot of people understood the nature of the malady or how to actually recover from it. And that's no disrespect to them, it's just the way it was, we would try and frighten each other into no drinking, think about your liver. The last thing I'm going to think about is my liver, What about the veins? And the change that there has been, that I've seen, that I've witnessed, has been phenomenal. And today, the fact that we have the services and part of the reason that I love John and we got on so well, we're kindred spirits in this. I love the fact, I'm sure there'll still be some people saying, well, that's not right, they shouldn't have that. But that's their stuff. That's nothing to do with anybody else. That's their stuff. I love the fact that there are treatment centres. I don't care what angle they come from. I love the fact that there is smart recovery, that there is faith-based, that there is all sorts of things, because I just see it as a gateway in to recovery. People will find their own way once they're in the door. And sometimes that comes about with resentment. I'm not getting back there because he's so-and-so, and they go somewhere else, they think, no, so the fact that there is so much here fills me with so much hope, because I've got a bigger vision than just us guys. I know that in my madness, my addiction, I caused a lot of pain, not just for myself, not just for my family, not just for my community, but I was part of a very broken world. I was born not that long after the Second World War. I've got this daft vision in my head that maybe the world can heal a bit, and that maybe people like us in recovery have got something to do with that. Because we start to take a lot of the pain out of it, and we start to bring hope to other people. So we've came a long way, guys. You might come in and think, this is terrible, I need to change it. Or, oh, great, yeah, I love the attitude. But believe me, it has changed dramatically. But we do need people to keep on keeping on and to carry on what's been carried on. But it's been great, John. I've loved it. I wish you all well, guys. Wish you all well.
Thanks so much, Charlie. And listen, folks, we're going to wrap up here. If you've got any comments, we'll be posting this up. If you've got any comments, happy to hear them. You know, if you loved it, post it up. If you didn't like it, keep quiet. and we'll reach some kind of happy medium where we only get likes or something like that. No, but so we're hoping to do this on a regular basis. We're at the early stages of this, so we're interviewing people who, you know, who have done things in the recovery which we are wanting to kind of celebrate a wee bit as well, Charlie. And we kind of skipped over your involvement as well in the Serenity Cafe, which was one of the major things for making recovery so visible in Scotland. You know, it took it out for that anonymity, which was really important for a lot of people, but made it and made services sit up and take notice. So I wanted to thank you for that as well. So, okay, guys, so keep watching the West Lothian Recovery Services Facebook page or Instagram and stuff, and if you want to thank Charlie, do it. Okay, Charlie, thanks very much, pal. Catch up with you soon. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.